Gerald.
WATV Birmingham, a Courtney French broadcasting company. We are 94.9 WATV. And from now on, the B has a new meaning. What is that? Be the vibe. Be the voice. This is my neighborhood. This is where I'm from. Be the vote. I said we vote on. Oh, you only get one vote. Make the right choice. Be the vision. Let's see what you got. Be vital. Man, we all we got. Be the V. B 94.9 WATV. Introduce the mobile and lady that lives the truth. The reason rain was about to go through the roof is later, but when we back, baby, you know it ain't never gonna stop. This is the circle we've been rocking since it's over here. Keep it locked. Cause every show is full of vital information. No dragging down the bus, she keep a fire conversation, no doubt. She guaranteed to show up and show out. Showing different angles of life, that's what the show about. You know we finna go up, touching on the topics you need to know about. And plus we need to hear from the city, so pull your phones out. The line's open, not to mention the whole goal is to keep your mind open. But we about to take the show worldwide. Real rap. All you gotta do is relax and kick back. This lady who gon' break you off, Kit Kat. You know that's big bags me. They call me savage and I've been at it a minute too. I'm guaranteed to show naked ass like I was winning. Ooh, here we go. No question about it. We need to go. Enjoy the show.
Good free time.
Yes. Welcome to the show. V94.9 WATV. Happy Sunday night to each of you. I am Lady Woo. Shouts out to the Corey Savage. Every intro, every vibe that we create here, he is the voice behind it. So shouts out to Corey. You can hear him also in the midday every day, kicking off Lady Woo's Midday Fun Shui, y'all. Big show tonight. The crew is in the building. Everyone, how are you all doing? We'll do a collective hello tonight.
Doing good.
Doing great.
Awesome. Ready to chat. Yeah, we have special guests in studio. We got to get straight to it. It's been a great week, so we'll wrap up on all of that later on, possibly. If not, just catch us on social media. You know how to find us. All right. Mr. Brother Doug Jones is in the building. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. It's been a minute.
It has.
I think the last time we saw you was virtual because the pandemic had taken place and you were doing what you do. You were getting ready for something, running, trying to corral us and get us motivated to vote. And here we are again.
Yeah, you know, it's hard. It's especially hard during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Even though there was a lot of early voting, which it was amazing, which we can talk about in a minute, probably, about early voting. But that was a tough race. That was a tough time to run a re-election.
Yeah. And we need to start early. So we're starting early.
Absolutely.
The election that you're running for this time is the governor's seat.
Right.
The governor of the state of Alabama. Alabama is like usually like 48, 49, or 50 on every list. Only thing is one end is what? Like football or something.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, we are constantly at the top of every list that is bad, and we're at the bottom of all the things that are good, and we got to change that.
Well, you seem to be the one that the media, first of all, pushed forward. Like, okay, so this is what it's going to be. This is what's going to happen. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't control the media.
Okay.
I have, look, I've had a background. I've got a record of service that goes way back before the Senate. As United States Attorney, I started my career in the Senate years ago, was an assistant prosecutor, then U.S. Attorney, did those church bombing cases. So I've had a platform. And I think that as a former elected official and somebody that was able to raise a fair amount of money in my races, that kind of catch the attention of the mainstream media. And I call like radio stations, the legacy media. It's not always the same on social media or a podcast and that sort of thing.
Right. Thank you for recognizing it and understanding the difference in the media platforms and how they can impact your campaign.
Absolutely.
They can tell the full story.
And I think it's changed a lot it's changed a lot since I ran in 2020.
Yeah.
So much has changed that I think the last election really proved that in 2024.
Well, Doug Jones from Fairfield, Alabama. You're
Yeah.
West Side.
That's right.
Best side.
Old stomping grounds right through here.
You know how to throw them up too. 71 years seasoned.
Yep.
All right. I didn't believe that until I looked up. I was like, well, how old is he now? 71.
Yep.
So getting into this race at 71 years old, you've gotten your reward. Now everything else is extra, and you want to serve Alabama as the governor, meaning that you will be the popularly elected chief executive, a liaison to the federal government. And right now we know what the feds are doing and what they act like, what they look like. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, yes. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
How let's get into the skill set first of what it would take to be able to represent Alabama and not be put in a box when it comes to fighting, because you're going to be fighting in Washington.
Well, I think if I can get elected, if I'm lucky enough to get elected, it is going to mean that the people of Alabama voted for change, that they're not satisfied with the status quo. They're not satisfied in Montgomery, where the powers that be down there are trying have corralled all the power, taken the power away from people. You only look at what's going on in the legislature these days. It continues to happen. We were talking just off air about bills right now pending regarding the Public Service Commission. So I think that the election, my election this November and swearing in next January, is going to represent a huge change in how people perceive Alabama, but also how Alabama is presented, not only in Washington, D.C. Remember, the governor of the state of Alabama is also the spokesman for helping businesses, helping workers, you name it. It's the leading voice. And so the change is going to be, I think, dramatic.
We do want change. Has anybody in studio or anybody listening ever been proud of Alabama? Like you really could say, I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be from Bama.
Well,
the only
they
thing
can't even
that,
answer.
the only thing that's been holding Alabama up is Alabama football up to a point. It's like people all around the country knew Alabama because they were dominant in football, but outside of that, and I mean, how far that really go?
Not far.
Legislation has been poor.
Okay, so legislation has been poor, and the governor has you have the power to implement state laws, oversee executive branch decisions, and manage state operations, manage state departments, submit a state budget, propose legislation.
But Lady Wu, let me go back to one question though. I don't want people to be so down on Alabama that we give up and that everything's got to be changed. There have been things in the past besides sports. We put people on the moon, okay? Right in Huntsville, Alabama, we put people on the moon out of NASA. We've had a strong military presence in Alabama. Okay. Right now, we've got, we are protecting democracy with some of the things that we are built. Right here in Birmingham, we've got the University of Alabama Health Systems, a leading research university, one of the best university health systems in the country. So we've got things to be proud of. The problem is we're still trying to outlive our past. Oh. Okay. We are trying to outlive the past. And every now and then we see too many public officials that just embarrass the hell out of us. And it seems like everything good gets shunted down to the bottom and people look at the things bad. So we got a lot to be proud of, guys, but there is a lot that can be changed.
I like the fact. So that's what a good spokesperson is for. Yeah. The governor needs to be able to tell that story. So you just did that, right? You just changed our perception of where we live. I've been here all my life. And I still say that the only thing I'm proud of is how you just said that.
Well, good.
Okay. So former senator from 2018 to 2021, former U.S. attorney for the Northern District. You were appointed to that position.
Yep.
That says a lot. And then we know that you were the prosecutor in the 16th Street bombing case. But then I want to go all the way back to 1988, where you were the co-chair for Joe Biden's presidential bid.
I was.
1988.
Well,
my brother was born that year, and you've been serving like before that.
Exactly. No, look, I was an assistant U.S. attorney in 1980 to 84. Went into private practice, and I've known President Biden for 47, 48 years now. Mm-hmm. First met him when I was in the law school in the 70s, and we have been friends the whole time. So yeah, it was kind of a short-lived run for him in 1988, but he was my friend, and I was going to do what I could before he dropped out of the race in 88.
All right.
Can I go back?
Absolutely.
How about he's from the West Side?
Yeah, West
Yeah,
Side, right? So let's go
Fairfield
back.
Tigers.
Let's go back to that.
Fairfield Tigers.
Let's go back to
Let's
that.
do it.
So then, like, just looking at where you've been, that's how we break the ice on that part. That kind of tells the story of who you are. But the idea that I want to bring change to Alabama. I want to be able to represent Alabama on a different scale. And you've been here. The race that we're looking at is against Tommy Tuberville, where you've been in that race before, and we weren't successful. However, I want to talk about some things that happened in that race to make sure they don't happen this time, and then we'll get more into what you plan to do. So what do you think happened that time?
Oh, it's easy.
Tell me.
Donald Trump was on the ballot.
Oh,
okay. You got to remember, in Alabama's a lot like other states. More people vote in presidential years than they do in the off year. And I'm going to call like 26 in the governor's races, the midterm or the off year, the statewide elections. Okay. A lot more people. We had 1.7 million people turn out to vote, which was a record in 2018. That was a record following my win in 2017. But there were like 500,000 people more voted in 2020, just in that 2-year period. It went back down. In fact, went lower. There was almost 800,000 or 900,000 people that voted, less number of people in 22. So the one thing that happened was a number of people, and they came out to vote for Donald Trump. And unfortunately, we still have straight ticket voting in Alabama, which is a problem. And I think we need to get rid of it. It's a rigged system. So a lot of those votes went to Tommy Tuberville as straight ticket votes. The second thing is, as we were talking about a minute ago, it was COVID. And it was a different campaign. You couldn't get out there. Right. And look, he hid. I mean, look, he didn't get out. He just hid. He ran on the record of being a football and being endorsed by Donald Trump. That's all that was needed. I mean, that's truly all that was needed. So we kept trying to smoke him out, but he wouldn't come out. And going back to the media, some media around here in Birmingham, some others didn't try to smoke him out either. They didn't try to pin him down. They didn't get him on radio stations. And when they did, his people pulled him from those because the things he said were crazy. I still got, by the way, on my phone, I've got a recording of him in 2020 where he was asked if he would vote to extend the Voting Rights Act. And he didn't know what it was. He literally did not know what the Voting Rights Act was.
See,
that's true.
Change
story.
is needed, right? But even
needed.
Still, people voted for him, just like they voted for Donald Trump.
We
got to change that, y'all. We got to change that, like, tonight. So we start tonight. We have a few months to get you back and keep talking about these things, but we got to change that. When you talk about changing Alabama, then I want the panel to jump in. I want the phones to start ringing with your questions. But when you think about changing Alabama, education, infrastructure, public safety, economic development, healthcare, like you said, the bottom of all of those lists, no matter how great we are as individuals doing what we do, we still are part of a flawed system and a slow state. So give me a couple of the things that you want to do and that you know need to be improved.
Let me, if you don't mind, let me first talk about how you change. And we're starting that change in this election. And the way we're starting that change is a campaign with candidates who are all going to be talking about change. First 2 months of my campaign, Lady Wu, the first 2 months, I spent recruiting candidates. Do you realize that it has been since 2006 that the Democratic Party fielded a candidate in all of the constitutional races? If you go back and look at 2010, 14, 18, 22, you'll see gaps. You'll see spots like our state treasurer. He's been elected statewide 3 times and has never run against a Democrat. So the first way you start to make this change, the first thing that I have already done is I have recruited candidates to run for statewide office. And there is a great group, a great group of candidates. We've got Phil Ensler, who's going to be running for lieutenant governor. You've got Ron Sparks, who used to be the ag commissioner, running for his old seat to help get those rural voters out. Roz Houston, former banker and also head of the Civil Rights Institute here in Birmingham, running for treasurer. You've got Violet Edwards, black female in Huntsville, who is running for a state auditor. And you got Jeff McLaughlin running for attorney general. I'm telling you, that slate of candidates is the strongest we've had, and it is so much stronger than whatever the Republicans going to feel. So that's how change. We start changing the state during the campaign.
I like that.
We've already started. I think with what's going on, people are a little concerned down in Montgomery that they're going to all of a sudden have a fight on their hands. So that's going to make some changes, I think, in the way you see people talking during this campaign.
Okay. All right, people. I like the energy. I know that you know what you're talking about. You've been doing it since I was not born.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
But experience is needed. Like, we do need experience. We always talk about like the younger of us starting to get in and do things. But when you know what you know, you need to show. So I appreciate you getting in again and showing up for Alabama. In studio, where are we going first? J-Head, I would think we were coming to you because you just ran.
Well, yeah, I did. I ran for the council seat in this district. I do.
Well, thanks for stepping up. That's the kind of thing that you got. I mean, look, you don't always win races, but stepping up is important, and getting a voice out there.
There we
important.
are.
Right. And that's when I want to kind of get to you in this sense. So in this campaign, learning the lessons from the last time when you faced Tuberville, give us two things that you need from this community to make sure that we can change the numbers, number one, but at least change the message.
Two things. All right.
All right. Two things. Turnout and turnout. I'm being a little bit facetious there. We need to get voters engaged more. I mean, the problem, I think, in the past has been we don't keep voters engaged in the process. We don't educate voters enough to understand that their vote counts. So many people now think, well, if I just go, Democrats are not going to win, my vote's not going to count. And so why bother? And we make it hard to vote. You got to, if you vote absentee, you got to fill out applications and get affidavits and all sorts of things.
And now they want to nationalize.
And now they want to nationalize all that. And if you do that, you've got to go vote on one day between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. So we make it hard to vote. But I think if we can engage people more I won't say 24/7, but 12 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And let them know my folks, historically, Democrats have waited till the last minute to really start engaging people. And we need to be out there now talking about how they're important. Look at what's happening in this country. Look at what's going on in the state. They want to take away that right to vote. Why do the people in Montgomery want to take away the right to vote? They're scared that this year people are going to get engaged and they're going to come out in record numbers. That's how we make this change. And you make this change in the community. And I'll give you a good example. 2017, it was a special election for the United States Senate. You know how that race was won? Not only were we talking about the same kitchen table issues today about healthcare and affordability and jobs and education, but we had a historic turnout in the Black community. Okay. I was able, as a percentage of the total vote, my percentage was higher than Barack Obama's in 2008 because people got engaged. They saw an opportunity. And that's what we've got to convince folks right now. We have got the most historic opportunity to make change in this state that we've had in over 30 years. And we damn sure better take advantage of it, or we're going to face the same stuff that we faced for the last 30 years. I hope that at least partially answers your question.
Yeah. So we need voter turnout. Engage, change now. It's vital. So we're going to stick with that tonight. Eddie, what you got? What you feeling?
We talked about a little before the show about them taking away those votes like they do trying to do in the Public Service Commission.
Yeah.
What message is important as far as letting people know that there's a group of people in the state that want to take your voice away? They want to stop you from being able to, be represented by your election, and they want to just let the person in power take that. What do I need? What message would be, salient for social media to let people know that this is what you need to be looking into?
I think it is a combination of telling folks that the Public Service Commission regulates, your utility bills. We have the highest utility rates, not necessarily rates, but the highest bills. And I say that distinction because they pride themselves on having some relatively low rates, but the bills are higher because there's all kind of other things that they do to make sure that your power bill is high. They regulate the utilities in this state. Therefore, your utility bill that you get is directly related by the Public Service Commission. And right now, it's just basically been a stamp for the power company. I mean, it's just that simple. So that has been an elected position since it was formed. And now all of a sudden, this is what happened. In Georgia, this past November, you saw 2 incumbent Republicans get beat bad because people in Georgia rose up, they got out to vote, and they said, enough is enough. We want more transparency. We want to take the power back. And they defeated those 2. So all of a sudden now you got Republicans down in Montgomery saying, oh, guess what? We want to let the governor, and not even the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the president pro tem of the Senate and the speaker of the House. We want them to appoint somebody. And here's the thing that they keep saying. It's the dangest thing I've ever heard. They said, oh, the PSC's broken. All of a sudden they've realized these bills are so high and they're saying they're not representing the people. Well, let me tell you, Republicans have held 2 out of the 3 seats for 22 out of the 26 years, last 26 years. They could have done anything that they wanted to, but they didn't because they're just beholden to the companies in this state. So now they want to take it away. The whole campaign that we've got to do, guys, is to try to shine a light on that kind of thing, to have more transparency in Montgomery, and to try to make sure that we ensure that people know and they hear. We come on shows like this and tell people about it and say, don't let the powers that be take your votes away.
Okay. All right.
So I agree. I've watched politics lately, and with local politics, you see that shaking the table does get people's reactions,
Absolutely.
right? But if you want to get the community engaged, I see us wanting a seat.
Yeah.
So what can you do to make us more aware and get engaged so that we feel that we are following the right representation, first of all, and not just shaking the table to cause a stare or a social media frenzy, and we're actually getting a seat at the table to have a voice.
Okay.
So what are you representing and what do you bring to the state of Alabama?
You know, look, first of all, I agree with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
If more people get engaged civically on different issues, and more people go to the city council and they go to the Board of Education and they listen, they go to the county commission and get engaged on the issues and then speak out, they're going to get engaged.
Right.
What I think I've pretty much demonstrated that the community, that's probably most of you, the listeners on this show tonight, had a seat at the table when I was United States Senator. You certainly had one when I was U.S. Attorney. We did weed and seed programs. We did all kind of programs in addition to prosecuting the civil rights case from 1963. But when I was in the United States Senate, there was a voice because it was myself and a senator from Tennessee that got HBCU increased funding for the first time in about 15 years. We got permanent funding. We did the things for maternal health and infant mortality. We were able to do things. One of the first things that I did, and it fortunately doesn't affect Birmingham as much, but I think one of the first tours I took as a U.S. Senator was down in the Black Belt because of the sewer sanitation problems where, you know, it was horrible. Well, and it's still a problem, but we got money into those communities to try to help what was a just horrible situation. And it still needs more money. So I think if you look at my record, you will see that for 3 years anyway, you had a seat at the table. And that includes, by the way, okay, and I'm really proud of this, that includes, after George Floyd's death, being out at Lynn Park and speaking up, and on the floor of the United States Senate, while you've got a current U.S. Senator just decrying Muslims and talking about just just disgusting things. You had a U.S. Senator at that point the only senator from the Deep South who was talking about Black Lives Matter on the floor of the United States Senator. You had a voice, and I'm going to give you that voice again down in Montgomery.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Look, in the comments, for those of you who are watching, I know tons of you are listening, but for those who are watching, if you have something that you want to get in Fast Five, go ahead and post it in the comments. Send it to us right now, and we'll ask the question. Or if there's something that you want your governor to do, like what is it that Alabama needs, and you know the governor can do it, post it, let us know, and we'll shout it out. Attorney Kristen French, you got something?
I have just this week been made aware of a documentary that I'm checking out called The Alabama Solution.
Oh, yeah.
I am wondering.
Have you seen it?
I just started, and I had to actually cut it off.
Got to get a good stiff drink to watch that.
You really do. And I am just wondering, do you have a plan to help with these disturbing conditions and the mistreatment of our prisoners?
Yeah. First of all, this is a problem that is not just conditions. This is a systemic problem that involves prisons and the entire criminal justice system. And the governor has appointment power and a bully pulpit. And it's not just the appointment power of the prison commissioner, right? But the main thing that I think that the governor can bring is transparency. Now, when I say transparency, I've been a prosecutor, I've been a defense lawyer. I know a little bit about criminal justice on both sides of the aisle. And transparency, you can have transparency on a system like this and still have security, because there are certain security concerns when you're dealing with prisoners of any kind. And so, but you can balance that. What happened in this case, those prisoners that were there were able to shine a light on the conditions. They were being hidden. Lawsuits had been filed, and it just never became public. We spent millions of dollars on lawyers. So that's going to stop, okay? Number one, we're going to get better training. We'll do some things, but the biggest thing is that we immediately start to have a little bit more transparency. We also need to work within the system. Alabama has prided itself on being tough on crime. And, I get it. I understand the political part of that. But I also think that when people are doing that, we've got to make sure that folks are getting sentenced appropriately, that they're not being sentenced for too long, that they are looking at it. So much of this is politics. And if we can get a system to whereby we know that when people go into that system, they're not going to come out more of a criminal than when they went in. That's number one. And number two, they will come out. Give people some hope. There's some really good programs. Former Chief Justice Sue Bell Cobb is doing some reentry stuff right now. We got to get people coming out and giving them hope. Again, a lot of transparency. So I'm like you. I was extremely concerned. I can't say I was surprised, but I was shocked in how bad some of that was. And I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of it goes back to not just the condition, but the guards and the folks that are there. Because if you watch that movie, the guards are far worse than the prisoners down here. And you can't look. I don't want anybody to think that we should be soft on crime or soft. People that commit crimes have to pay a price, and we should do that. But there's ways to do this where Alabama prison system doesn't have the highest death rate of any system in the country by 2 and 3-fold.
So you won't have a prison named after you. That's what I'm gathering.
Oh, okay. I don't think that'll happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So final question for this episode with our gubernatorial candidate, Doug Jones. Marshall.
What do you think separates you from other senators before your time?
Other senators?
Yes.
What separates other senators? I think the passage of time did a little bit, because I was the first Democrat elected in 25 years. Senator Howell Heflin, who I worked for in the Senate, I thought was just a great guy. He was elected in 1978. He was really to look at him and to hear him, you would think he was just boss hog and an old Southern, senator, but he was a progressive guy in many, many ways, ahead of his time. I was proud to be in his seat. But then it was nothing but Jeff Sessions and, Richard Shelby and Republicans who I think lost some voice. And Richard Shelby's still a good friend of mine, and we worked really well together. And he did an amazing amount for this state. But in terms of things like giving the voice to the community that you're talking about, we didn't. Senator Heflin, for instance, when I was there, was responsible for having the first 2 Black judges, federal judges, appointed in Alabama, Judge U.W. Clement and Judge Myron Thompson. He did that in 1979 and 1980. There was not another Black judge in Alabama until Barack Obama was appointed. Barack Obama appointed Judge Abdul Kalan, who's not on the bench anymore. So if I'd had the chance, that was going to change. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance under Joe Biden presidency. But so that separates me a lot from Sessions and Shelby.
All right. This is just part 1. We're going to bring you back. We'll be chatting throughout the time to get engaged. We want to get our voters engaged and educated. Vital Votes is a segment that we do, especially in high voting times. Every time we should get out and vote, but we have to know who our candidates are. So we thank you for stopping in tonight to share with us, and we look forward to getting you back in really, really soon. What's the voting date?
The primary is May the 19th.
May 19th. So we got a couple of months, y'all. We got to engage change. So thank you so much. I got one comment that I want to share with you, and it says, thank you, and I'm glad that you are in the race.
Thanks. Whoever said that, thank you very much. And
we running with you. All right, Doug Jones, everybody go and pull up his website, see what he's working for. And then when he comes back on next time, you'll have your questions and calls answered. We have another group in the building. I told you it was a big show tonight. Another guest about making change in the community. So we'll get them in studio right after these.
Am I out?
Thank you. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Thanks, guys. That was good.
Thank
That
you.
was really good. Thanks. Good. Really good questions, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Thank you. You got to finish.
Over here real quick?
I am.
Oh, my God.
Everybody real quick.
You got to watch it.
All right, we had Doug Jones in the building. Second half, we have an educational group. Y'all stay tuned. Thank y'all for tuning in. Do me a favor, hit that like and share button. We are ready to go inside a minute. So we're in transition right now.
Okay, ladies. Thank y'all. Thank you. It's good to see you guys. Let's do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Y'all take care tonight. Thank you.
That last response triggered another question, boy.
I ain't ready for the city.
We'll have to ask next time.
You got that? Yeah. Same place. It's 2 of them. Yeah.
All right. B94.9 WATV, and we are back. Welcome to the show. Lady Wu and the crew, y'all. Doug Jones was just in studio. Great interview there. We heard and learned, and we are engaging change. We are looking forward to May. Hopefully, everybody has already made their mind up about being active and being a part of the solution, because it's vital. It is vital that you participate in the political process. So shouts out to Doug Jones for joining us tonight. He'll be back soon. In studio, we have our second guest for the night. Yeah, we're getting them in here. We're getting this vital information to you tonight. And education is big in Alabama, and we need more options. Educational options are important. Empower is in the building. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Awesome. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
I am Dr. Meredith Davis from Empower Schools of Alabama. We run 2 charter schools in Bessemer, Empower Community Schools and Lower Campus, which is grades K through 3, and Empower Community Schools Upper Campus, which is grades 4 through 8.
Okay. So this is, how long have you all been an established school?
This is our 4th year.
Okay.
So we are relatively new to
Absolutely.
the space. Charter schools are relatively new to Alabama, especially in the Birmingham area.
Let's talk about charter schools first because people they it was a law. Hey, they don't like them charter schools. So what makes Empower different?
So what makes us different is number one, we provide some social emotional learning piece. Our goal is to help students learn how to self-regulate their social emotional needs.
Yes.
And teach them how to regulate themselves. We have roughly 420 students. We have 4 social workers. In a traditional space, it's roughly 1,000 students to every 1 social worker. And so we have 4, 3 for students, 1 for parents.
Okay.
So that we can kind of help our students, our community, better themselves, teach them how to manage their emotions, regulate themselves, so that we can help them learn how to work beyond their feelings so that they are not a statistic with crime or in prison or the murder rates. Trying to help Black and Brown students manage those spaces.
Awesome. That's important. Like social emotional learning. And this is in conjunction with your traditional education, math, science, and reading, all that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So our day is a little longer. We go from 8 to 4.
Okay.
So that we do build in that space in the schools during the school day. Mr. Rogers, DeMarcus Rogers, is here with us. He is one of our social workers. In fact, he's our family experience coordinator. So he is the social worker that deals with the parents.
And you said that each student has.
So we have 3 social workers on campus. One is a social worker / counselor. Then we have 2 other social workers, and they work with students. And we do like restorative practices to offset suspensions, teaching them how to talk through like harm that other students may have caused them. We do restorative practices with myself. If I may have said something to harm a student, they have the right to have a restorative circle with myself.
I love it.
And I have to listen to them explain what I said and how it may have harmed them. And then I have to be okay with providing support to ensure that I don't do that again. And so you give them a space to be heard and to be seen.
I love that. DeMarcus, this is how we know each other. We know each other from the work. So before all the other stuff, this is where we met. And just to hear that the parents have a social what?
Yeah, so that's a very important piece, because we realized early on that if the parent is not whole, how can we expect the kid to be whole?
Thank you.
So we work with the parents in various areas to make sure that they are consistent in the household with whatever endeavors the kids are dealing with. We also have to, go back to the household to make sure they're whole in order to better serve the parent, serve the students. So when we have whole students at the school, they're very teachable.
Okay. Ed, I know you want to jump in. A school with some social emotional learning focus.
Well, I've been doing contracts with like Birmingham City and Shelby County schools, and a criticism of the school counselors is that like 70% of what they do is admin work and testing and all of that stuff. What does a day of being a social worker at Empower look like?
So I can't say that we have just one role, because we are constantly dealing with different avenues. But what I can say is when we focus on the students during the day, it helps the students have a better day. So, we'll get in and if a student has an issue, we'll call. Okay. And when we're called, it just depends on the issue, but we try to deal with the emotional aspect of that in order for them to become whole. We talked about restorative circles. Dr. Davis spoke of that. So we'll have a restorative circle if 2 kids just say got an altercation or any kind.
Gotcha. And that's what that sounds like to me is where y'all prioritize,
right?
Where y'all priorities lie is with making sure that the kids are having a good day. And in some communities, that is very necessary because they go out into a very chaotic world and they need some regulation from that. And in some of the communities I work in, kids have the luxury in a lot of instances to not have environmental stuff being the problem. So it's good to hear that prioritization goes to like kind of checking in on them.
I love that. So you already have 400 plus students and they're already getting this full experience, and so are their parents, which I'm really stuck on that part, that the parents are being brought into the process of what's happening at Empower. what is it that makes you all be the choice? People need to choose this, not just the social emotional learning piece, but what are some other elements of what you all offer that people need to know about so that they can make a good choice?
So, we want people to know that as a charter space, we do provide high quality instructional materials to our students. Our upper campus, the middle school section, is now an A+ college ready campus. So those students will take like pre-AP courses in middle school to help prepare them for AP or help get them ready to take AP courses when they get to high school. The ultimate goal is that we want to produce a better student back to the public school system than what we received. A lot of our students come to us under grade level, reading below grade level. There's no that we're not getting some magical student. Like, we're not handpicking students. If they apply, they get a seat. If a seat is available, whether it's special education, whether they're 4 or 5 grade levels behind, it's our job to close that gap.
Okay.
The difference between us and traditional public school, we can cap off the number of seats that we take. So each grade level, we cap it out at like 50 students. And so once I hit 50, I'm done for that grade level. So if you apply for a seat and 50 kids are coming back, let's say in second grade, so 50 first graders decide they're all coming back, I won't have any second grade seats. So that's the difference between us and a traditional space. Once you're in, and those seats are yours as long as the parents want those seats. We get in their business a lot because I think a lot of what we do is we're kind of nosy.
Okay.
And in order for us to make sure kids are okay at home and at school, we do have to dig. And sometimes I think people think we are too nosy, but you charged us with educating your kids. And there is not a school in this country that shouldn't be in your business when they have your kids from 8 to 3 every day.
Okay.
That is a big responsibility. And when kids come to school missing the things that they need, we need to know.
We're asking questions.
Yeah. And you can't get upset because we're asking the questions. Every school system does that. The difference is we just push a little harder.
How hard is it?
It's real hard. Like, we call y'all every day
okay.
about stuff.
But that's the thing. So like, okay. So, like my daughter drives to school and I may get the phone call, Jay had saying that she was a little tardy, and I get it every day. So I stop answering because I already know what you want. But when this is not a robocall. You all are calling
we call the social workers actually call. They do home visits.
What?
If you're not, they can't get in touch with a parent, or your child is not in school, they get in their car they double up, get the police officer. They make a home visit, because our goal is to try to remove every barrier. We cannot change our community with producing students that are ill prepared. Public education is a civil right of every child. They have the right to receive a good, solid public education. And it doesn't matter where they go to school, what zip code they come from. Every child deserves a good education, and people deserve a choice on where they're going to send their children.
I like it. I like it. What y'all got in here? Wendy, why were you looking like that? I like it.
Just let me say that we talk a lot about what we need.
Yeah.
And what we want to have in schools, and about these parents not participating and cooperating with these teachers, with the counselors, with the principal. And when you finally get faced with something that sounds like it's right,
we're calling you every day. Okay.
I don't need any pushback with it.
Okay. How can people sign? My child is about to graduate.
50. She said 50 students.
So 50 students only per grade.
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, she about to be out of there. But there are some other students. Okay.
Because right now we're taking applications for the upcoming school year. And so what happens is all of our students get an opportunity to say they intend to return. If they choose not to return, their seat goes into the lottery. And so on March 2nd, every new applicant gets pushed through the lottery, and you're lucky, if you get a seat. We make a big deal like, hey, you got a seat, you're excited. But if you get on the wait list, we say, don't be discouraged, because people do drop off over the course of the the summer. They
Okay.
decide, I don't want to wear uniforms. I don't want to do this. I don't want to come to mandatory parent orientation. I don't want to do this. So guess what? They pull out and a new person comes off the wait list.
How can people get on the list?
Visit www.empoweral.org and apply for a seat.
Okay. These are the schools that we need. Empower Community School. I want to say the name again. Empower Community School in Bessemer.
We are in Bessemer. Dr. Anthony Oliver founded us in 2022.
And first of all, that's my classmate. We went to elementary school together.
Small
hey,
world.
Hey.
Yes, he's our founder. He wanted something totally different for Black and brown students. Luckily, we landed in Bessemer, and it has been an amazing thing. We're one of the fastest growing charter schools in the state. We're having construction add-ons have we done since we've opened?
Several, probably.
Yeah.
These are the schools that need the resources.
For sure. Absolutely.
So we can grow the staff.
I'm glad that
so we can take more seats.
Look, yeah, okay.
You know, I'm all about the children.
Okay.
That is really it.
So
resources.
So growing the school, first of all, making people aware. Because for you all to say that you've been around for 4 years, and I know when you reached out, I said, well, what's the name of the school? Where's the school? So people are still asking questions, and we know that people still need options. So not to necessarily take away from the public school system, but if your public school system is unable to offer what you need as far as some of the things that you all offer, why not? So a little bit from the social work part of it all. What does your role look like? Because, social workers be doing everything.
So I'm glad
just
you
working,
know that.
Working socially.
So from my perspective, dealing with the parents, even though we offer a lot of support for the students, and this year we started offering support for the parents, we still receive some feedback, pushback. Now, we understood that going into it, and that's fine. But like Dr. Davis said, we're going to be in your business. We're going to pry. We're going to ask questions. And we would love for you to be truthful and upfront with us, because the goal is to make sure that the kid is healthy and whole so that they can receive the education that we're trying to provide for them. But we also understand that things come up, so we deal with things with, we had the problem with SNAP benefits. So we started a food pantry.
Okay.
We did a drive-through around Thanksgiving. We fed the parents for that entire week. They came by, they did a drive-through. So doing things like that, there's no one particular role that we as social workers have. I know you understand that as well. But so we just go in looking forward to an exciting day, because we know it's going to be exciting.
I love that. Somebody said another charter school. And I'm going to say absolutely, because if something is not filling the gap, or there's a void, or there's a need, somebody else got to come in and do it. So just the first part of the social, emotional, we in your business piece, because that is what's necessary. Jay Hat is a teacher in the public school system. I don't know why he ain't said that yet, but he is. And I just hear the flexibility in that. Could you add something, please? Talk about the flexibility of what you hear that they have that maybe you don't.
Well, for one, I hear an element that lets me know that we're doing something right.
All right.
Last year, I served as the parent engagement coordinator. So I know the work, and I know that you're going to have to work, because that work is truly is needed. I would just say be encouraged about the slow turnaround. Parents are very guarded when it comes to certain things. They'll give you an email before they give you the phone number. But take the email and make the best use of it. If I could just really be transparent with it, it can be frustrating. Like, that role is a frustrating role, but it can be so rewarding. So take your wins, celebrate them, and remember your why. It's the kids.
So just from one system to its own system, hearing that there are similarities and that there are connections. Everything that we talk about, everything we've discussed tonight has had some way of fitting together. And I don't want anybody to ever think that more effort for our children is too much, or it's another one. No, we need all the ones we can get, clearly. So I am a supporter of anything that works. If it works and it makes sense, I'm going to support it. So I appreciate you guys for doing what you're doing. Eddie, what you got?
So the sentiment behind another charter school is, the reality is, when charter schools started,
Everybody
If
want
you
one.
research Betsy DeVos, what her system was doing in Michigan,
Yeah.
it was just how businesses can hit a lick.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they were just passing out templates and
The
being like, "Here you go."
teachers
And
came off
then
the sidewalk.
that's just the people who like, okay, let's use the education public funds to hit a lick.
We get it. Absolutely.
It didn't get out, and then you got the other group of people who we gonna use this as exclusionary so that we can put out populations that we don't want in here.
Yes.
So when we're talking about charter schools, when you zoom into what the charter schools offer, it's not as if the system can't offer something valuable. It's that so many people have used it inappropriately that everybody, when you hear charter school, without looking into what it is, your perspective of it is going to be tainted by all of the other stuff going on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when people are seeking to build something in the community that is for the community, that includes that social, emotional benefit to the kids, you got to zoom in and look at what these people are offering and how they are carrying that out and how they're performing that. Because you can go find one of them schools in Michigan and it's just a scam. It was a scam from the beginning to the end. So don't just hit charter school and be like,
if it ain't run Clark, we don't want it. But
yeah.
you got they right here in Bessemer. You ain't got to go to Atlanta.
They telling y'all what it is. Go ask some of them parents that they in their business of and see what they got to say. Because I imagine that them 50 seats probably still be full or close to full the next year.
So that is the next question that I have, and then I want to hear from the ladies. With the retention, how often do you see turnover? Because I could only imagine that I would want to stay in that space. I would want to stay in that type of space.
So for the last 4 years, our retention rate has stayed closer between 85 to 90%.
Okay.
So, and a lot of it is people move.
Okay.
And it's a drive getting to us. We provide bus transportation, but we don't provide bus transportation throughout the entire county.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is they've moved out of the space. And so it's just easier for them to get to another school. Or if truancy becomes an issue before we take you to court, like we really want you to get back into your neighborhood school, because it can't be, I don't have a way to get to school. That can't be the solution. The ultimate thing is that your child is in school. And as much as we would love to keep them with us, we would rather they be in school than to be truant, if that makes sense.
So that would be like one of the main issues, not anything with staff or anything with, like the issues that schools have often where this or that happened. No, they can't get here. So sometimes that's a barrier.
And it's because we just don't provide neighborhood to neighborhood transportation. We have bus locations at different stops around the city. Pretty similar to like the Jefferson County IB schools, Ramsey, they pick up in different spots. We do the exact same thing. So the parents have to get them to those spots.
Where are you all located?
We are at the old St. Francis campus in Bessemer and the old St. Aloysius campus across from Walmart in Bessemer.
Gotcha. Okay. So if you're listening and you're interested, the website is posted on our live stream. You can see it right now. You can even send and check information. Go look at it now, empoweral.org, and let them know that you heard about them right here on Vital tonight. Ladies, what you got?
I just think with the whole mental health crisis we have going on with the youth, I'm glad to hear that somebody is actually addressing the issues instead of pushing it under the rug, because that's what got us here. And not only addressing it with the children, but with the parents, because it started in the household, the whole nature versus nurture thing. A lot of that started in the household with the parents, and they're unstable. And I'm glad that there's someone actually addressing the parents and their state of mind. But like I said, with a school like this, there should not be any pushback coming from the community when you ask for support and you get it, because it does take a village. And I feel like this school is a representation of the village. And this is what the village actually looks like when people are holding each other accountable. So I'm just glad to hear about the school and everything that y'all are doing. We need funding for schools like this. They're not the only charter school that's making a difference. We need funding. Don't just say another charter school when you're not pouring any resources into the public or the private or the charter school. So I think people are very opinionated when they're not even doing the work. So thank you for doing the work.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say. I'm just glad to see somebody actually doing the work.
empoweral.org doing the work. Attorney Kristen French.
First of all, thank you all for the work that you're doing with the kids and the community. I am just curious, how hard is it to catch up a kid who may be behind 5 levels? I'm actually serving as president for STAIR. I'm not sure if you're familiar. But STAIR, we offer after school tutoring for first and second graders. So we tend to catch up kids maybe a grade or two. What in the world do you do for a kid for 4 or 5 levels?
So research shows that you can probably move them like a year every year. The goal is let's try to do a year and a half. If you can get a year and a half in a regular school year, then you're above beyond the trajectory of getting them caught up. But a lot of it comes with they need to come to school. They need to be ready for school when they show up. And that's just not at Empower. That is at everybody's school. If students showed up ready for school on time every day, we would not be in an educational crisis in our communities. Educators they're not miracle workers. They do the best they can within the hours that they have them. As teachers, we are looking at them to be counselors, nurses, social workers before they ever teach. And that is unfair because a lot of them just really want to show up and teach. And that's kind of how we ended up adding additional social workers. It was to kind of take some of the load off of teachers. So we really just wanted them to go in and be able to teach. But now the fight is we just need y'all to get to school on time so you can learn. And that's just the fight in everybody's school. We're no different. We have the same struggles that all of the traditional public schools have because we have the same kids.
All right. What you thinking? What you need to add?
So nothing really, but just understanding the landscape. And we do have, smaller groups so we can focus, we can use our resources to really focus on the kids that's there. And by no means are there situations that we face every day that other public schools don't face. But I will say we show more attention. We pay attention to the details, and we can recognize when a kid walk in the door, what's going on immediately. And I think that's the reason the social work department has expanded, so we can focus more on the kid and then add the parent in there to address the whole family.
All right. EmpowerAL.org. Go ahead and get in on that. And with these students, like if anybody reaches out now, would they start next fall or would they start immediately?
They will start in the fall.
Okay.
We offer seats in the summer so that they can come to our summer learning or summer enrichment camp so they can kind of get a head start to see what we do, meet some kids that are already there so they don't walk in August without friends. And so we try to let them come in a little early so they can kind of start building their community, because coming to a new school can be difficult, especially if they're older. And we want them to start developing a community around them to give them something to be excited about come August.
That's good. EmpowerAL.org. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight.
And
that was refreshing.
We do tours if they want to come see the school.
Okay.
Visit some classrooms. We do offer tours so parents can get an idea and they can meet with us personally to kind of figure out, like, is this a good fit for our family?
Awesome. Y'all check them out. Over in Bessemer. What grades again?
We service students in kindergarten through 8th grade. You can be from anywhere in the county, really anywhere, because we have some kids from Tuscaloosa County.
Okay.
So you can just be from anywhere. There are no boundaries or zones for charters. If you get a seat, you're in.
All right. You have been listening to the Abby Award-winning Vital Show right here on B94.9 WATV. We shall return next week. Until then, happy Mardi Gras. Y'all be vital.
Thank y'all.
Hey, thank you.
Oh,
It was nice to meet you. Thank y'all.
Indeed. Thank y'all.
Can you have a card? Do y'all have cards?
I have a